Oh, I thought you were waving at that.
Yeah, welcome.
Well, we thought we were special.
There we go. You are.
We are, we are. Oh.
So this is a continuation of the hearing related to Colton Office Park, Condon Partners. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I seem to remember Doug just saying it was a continuation. So this is the proposed assisted living facility at 580 Main Street. You have that kind of a list of things to go through, Erica?
Sure, so the applicant is not attending tonight. They figured because the planning board is waiting on design and review board at this point for their report, that they would just wait and come to the next hearing. Hopefully, design and review board will have a time to meet again and come to a decision on the project. So I did come up with a list of items that I thought that still needed to be discussed with the planning board. So obviously, design review board report, that was the first item. Parking requirements, that's obviously a major concern with Bolton Country Manor. We still need to figure out how that's going to be handled. Let's see. Lighting fixtures and schedule, we haven't really talked about that. Signage. I know at the last hearing we talked about a traffic study and that maybe a traffic study wasn't needed. However, per the rules and regulations for special permit, the board actually needs to take a vote on that, and the applicant needs to provide a written request for that waiver to be, to have it be writing of a special permit.
Before we take a vote? Probably.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I said that backwards. Let's see. I'm not sure if the board still wants to talk about possibly a sidewalk connecting Bolton Office Park with Clinton Savings Bank, so that potentially could be a conversation that we could still have. Jonathan, I know you had mentioned that you didn't like the location of the sidewalk at the rear of the office building, and that you'd like to have that relocated to the parking lot in the back.
Yeah.
So that could be
I could open up the plan, maybe.
Sure. And then just construction. I think there's lots of things that we could talk about.
Do we have that list, or is that just?
This was just a list I came up for myself, but you're more than welcome to look at it.
So I guess because we have other visitors, we could start with the parking issue.
Sure.
And so far, at the last meeting, Condyne said that they would provide, what is it called? An easement for 15 parking spots on their land, but exactly adjacent to the existing parking area for Bolton Manor. So they're willing to provide the land. They want indemnity, from the town. And so it would be, as it was left, it would be up to the town to, it'd be a proposal. Somebody would make the proposal at a town meeting. It would get voted on. And then, that's based on our last discussion.
No, can you clarify that? Because I just watched the last meeting and nothing about town meeting was mentioned in that, so.
I think Larry mentioned something about,
Appropriation of funds to develop the space.
He said he didn't think it would be a problem
finding the for the
fund.
town to pay for.
Yeah, didn't say anything about town meeting.
No, I think he did. I think we talked about like appropriation of funds. Do you have it in your budget? I think the
I
comment was
did
that's a
ask.
town meeting.
I did ask, was there money in this year's budget? And you would know because you've been on the.
Of course not. Yes, there isn't any money.
Sure.
Okay.
But money can be found anywhere. Just saying, money can be found anywhere.
It seems like the selectmen en masse were pretty much all A-okay with getting some money for that purpose.
Yeah, I mean,
The
there's,
problem is, basically, bottom line, the town cannot pay for anything it doesn't own.
Yeah.
but
And
That was
it
my
doesn't
concern.
own that land.
but that's not what Larry
Well,
said.
I know that, but, Don has been clear about
Yes.
this, very clear, and that the town cannot pay and pay on land that it doesn't own.
Can you clarify what your discussions with Don have been? Because I think some of the problem is, that, you know, there's the open hearing, and we get information from that, and then there's a lot of other stuff that goes on, and the public isn't privy to that.
Right, no, and I agree with Pat. I've had some conversation with Don, and he said the same thing to me, that basically we need to go through HUD or RCAP Solutions to figure out how we get this parking constructed. So that's what
And
I'm
it would be
working on
HUD that
right now.
provides the indemnity too, it's not our land.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
Same difference.
Okay.
So,
But it doesn't,
But that land is Condine's. So
Yeah.
could they give an easement to the town? Like that little strip would just be the town's?
that's a good,
That's a good-
that's
what I was just gonna say.
So the building is owned by the state, but a strip is owned by the town provides indemnity, the town pays, yeah, it seems logical.
But I can't imagine the town plowing it. I mean, you know, there's a
no,
reality.
no, but to say that, Pat, no. You know, the
No,
problem
these
is
are-
to say that, because then it just, you know, then somebody's gonna say, oh yeah, we're not gonna plow it. But all these arrangements can be done with the town, I would think. I mean, if the town is interested in supporting
It's true.
the council on aging and the seniors using this facility, and, you know,
Yeah.
if you need some more clarification on how important that facility is to the seniors,
No, we get it.
yeah, okay, then I think that plowing, we can, you know, just go from the road, and I'm sure that Harold would be happy.
Who plows Bolton Manor now?
I think it's Pat Carroll. and-
Okay, so Pat Carroll has a contract with HUD or the operator?
RCAP.
Yeah.
At
But
least
HUD
that's-
owns it, but RCAP is the
Yeah.
operator? Is that-
Actually,
right.
I mean, it looks like HUD holds the mortgage, and RCAP actually
Yeah.
owns it,
Owns the title?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I looked at the mortgage, and I gave a copy to Erica, and it looks like RCAP is actually,
So is RCAP a nonprofit entity? Okay.
it's Bolton Senior Housing Association that actually somehow is associated with RCAP.
So it sounds like it's a legal issue that again needs to be discussed
Worked out.
with Don,
Yes, and,
if that's a possibility.
yes.
So that good suggestion that you have, can that be pursued as part of the legal, you know, the legal, maybe giving the easement to the town then could,
I think that's a great way to go, and I can talk to Don about that. It might be a quicker option.
Yeah.
I forgot to say, if you could just identify yourself
Oh.
once, that would be great, just the beginning.
so
Pat
Yes.
Densettler.
Terry Abelian with, on Bond Hill Road. The other thing is, just from watching the meeting the 2 weeks ago, and I'm sorry I couldn't be here for it, the Condyne folk said that they would provide the easement and provide adequate grading. And then I've heard through the, you know, just people talking about it, that no, they're not going to do the grading, but they specifically said that. And,
Then I heard him say grading.
See,
and it's in the
didn't-
paper, I got the
did.
paper. Yeah, and it's in the paper that says, the news that's fit to print, all the news that's fit to print.
Oh, it's all on TV.
Dib said Condyne would grade the land but not build the spaces. Delaney said he didn't think there would be a problem with the town doing the paving. I'm sorry, I didn't heard
Okay,
it.
maybe, yeah.
So that's-
So that's another thing to check.
I talked to Mark Dibb last night about it at the design review board meeting, and he
Okay.
said they agreed only to the easement, but I think that's a conversation we should have at the next
With-
hearing with them,
with-
because we need to nail it down, what exactly it is that they're gonna be doing.
Just one other thing, I mean, I really think that what, you know, all this work that Condyne has done to try, you know, to really make this space good for seniors and for the people that'll be using it and for the town is wonderful, but what gets to be really frustrating from the standpoint as a citizen in town is that there's different, you know, you hear one thing one day and another thing another day, and we just would like, you know, that what they say we believe is what they mean, and then to have it change, it's a very frustrating thing. And we have a lot of people really relying on this space. It's a very important space for seniors in the town, and we have very limited space. So I really encourage, anything the planning board can do, certainly the selectmen, Don Lowe, Erica, and, all of us, that this is really important for seniors in town, and they're an underserved group.
I mean, in the end, it's all, whatever agreements will be in the special permit. So it's not like things will be done in different meetings and stuff. It all has to eventually funnel down to the special permit.
So it'll be finalized here, is what you're saying.
But in terms of, so Eric is gonna check on this legal piece.
Yeah.
Can the town, take that on? And then, there's more work for somebody, your group, to, pin down the funding part. Do you have support for that? And
Well, what, you mean thinking it's coming from the Council on Aging, the funding for it?
no, just if it's gonna be, how is that funding going to be procured? That's not gonna be something that we're gonna be, I doubt we would bring that to the meeting. So it's just, what is that process, and who are the people you need to talk to about it?
So a question I have, is it possible to find out because maybe from Condyne, or, you guys do this kind of stuff, how much it costs to pay 15 spaces?
So
I would say grading is out, because I heard
Yeah.
Condyne say they were gonna do it. Is there a way to find?
I did a rough calculation. It's asphalt paving, for residential is $7 a square foot. So I came up with a rough calculation of $21,000 for 15. But that's residential, which is kind of small. Maybe this is a bigger scale and it could be cheaper, maybe 15,000. So I'd say 15 to 20. Roughly.
And that would be just for the paving, not for the
That would
fill
be,
material?
no, that would be the grading,
that'd be everything?
the base, and then the
Okay.
asphalt
Okay.
included in that. So that's just kind of a rough 15 to 20. So that's the number.
To keep things moving between now and the next hearing, can we have a conversation with town council to understand at least one permutation of how it could work from a title easement standpoint?
Definitely.
Just try to
And
explore.
I'm not sure if it's a town council question, or if that's something that Doug would know, and Board of
Okay.
Selectmen could answer.
Okay.
But I'll definitely get the answer regardless who I need to,
Cool. Yeah, I mean, even if we don't have perfect clarity from Conduct between now and the next meeting.
at least, yeah.
To explore some options, just so we can keep it moving.
So that sounds likely to everybody, that could work. So we don't need to explore like a plan B.
Well, I think one option would be to really nail down exactly how many parking spaces that Condyne needs. I mean, they have close to 400 parking spaces out there, so, to me, it's not clear how many they actually need for the assisted living facility. I gave you a printout of the parking summary that they had on their site plans, and for the assisted living facility, they say that they're providing basically 1 square foot of parking for every 1 square foot of assisted living. Oh no, that's the office part, I apologize. Assisted living, 1 space per bedroom, so they're providing 60 spaces for the assisted living facility. Now, I was in contact with a operator who's actually building 6 different assisted living facilities in this region, and he gave me a very strong number on what's needed for parking, and he said typically you only need anywhere from 0.6 to 0.65 parking spaces for every unit. So if that's the case, if there's 60 units times, let's just say the 0.65.
It's more like 40.
Exactly, 39 spaces. So is there some flexibility there, or are there some spots that potentially could be allocated to, I'm not sure.
Well, again, if, looking at what people were using before,
Right.
was that strip of parking spaces that if you're facing the building to the left, but the problem, that's always been just because there have been no other parking places, and folks had to walk over the grass or walk around, and it's dangerous. It's certainly not the way I think that we would want to go forward. And what I kind of heard from the last meeting is that they did not want to build the walkway between that parking
Yeah.
and,
You're talking about this
No,
over here
Yeah.
across.
they don't wanna,
they didn't want
They
to
didn't want
build
to
that.
share this parking
yeah.
with,
yeah, right, they wanna keep it
This is
separate.
this is the settlement.
Right.
So it would be across here. People do end up walking that way or walking all around. But you have to remember that this facility, which is the senior center and the council on aging for the town of Bolton, 3 days a week, you're asking people that are older, and many of them significantly older. We have 85 and 90-year-old people that come and use it to walk, to do this kind of walking. So it's the opportune time to
Yeah, that's
do
your
this.
answer. That's your answer.
This is the answer.
Yeah.
And however
they're
it
offering
needs to.
it too. I mean, what I heard from them was that in terms of the back spaces and the side spaces, what they're proposing, they need. What they have, they need.
These spaces here.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing from you and just thinking about it, I mean, yeah, that is the most logical space.
I mean,
We
it's
need to
beautiful,
attack
it's
that.
beautiful, and it would.
And they're open to the concept too, so I think that's the path of least resistance. I think it makes the most sense too.
Mary Chimo, Corn Road. Did they say that they would do a connecting walkway?
No,
They're
they don't
doing-
wanna-
They're doing this sidewalk.
they're doing
And,
this,
okay,
this
so it would go
sidewalk.
along the roadway? So,
Little meander,
Meander
yeah.
in front.
so it would
Which is
go-
good, that's
Yeah,
helpful.
so-
That's helpful, but it's not.
Right.
No, but I mean, there is a way for people to get there
So
without,
that's gonna be a
although I'll tell you,
shovel.
it'd be a lot more convenient if you could just.
Right, that or these parking spaces.
Yeah.
This is really, like,
Yeah, I'm
I agree with you,
Yeah.
David, is that you know, this is what we've got.
It makes the most
I
sense.
think,
They're offering it, like you said,
I
it's
know,
just a
I
matter
think they wanna kinda keep
of this
up
separate.
order, yeah.
When they were talking about putting trees up in
Yeah.
the border
Yeah,
too.
I think
wanted
they showed
that
it on their
too.
landscape
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my only concern is, what if we can't get the funding? That's why I'm thinking, okay,
Okay, we
well,
can-
if we can't get the funding, what's
The
option?
funding can be gotten.
Yeah.
I think we have to go with the
Okay.
funding can be gotten.
Okay.
And however it goes, if it,
Yeah, I
if you find the
agree.
funding, and then there's lots, again, there's money in the town for other things, so that you
Right.
can find the funding for $15,000, and it might be less if they do the grading, number one. Number two, maybe the Friends of Bolton Seniors can go out there and raise
well,
part of the money.
I think,
But, you know,
yeah. But the budget's being done if,
budget's
you know,
being done right now.
well, if advisory I don't know if this is all gonna work out this year or next year. It's probably not till next year, right? When does construction start, or right away, right?
Oh, July,
well, they-
no,
they
that's
don't
next
even
year,
have an
it's
operator.
July.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so it'd be like, you know, I'm sure if advisory knows it's coming.
It's a question of
you know
ownership
that.
control and
I
reciprocal
do.
easements and just a
Well, it would be
powwow
for
to
this- for the
understand
upcoming year.
what
It
are the
would be in
different
this year's
options.
budget.
I think that's it.
Right. Okay.
I mean, the other backup plan is, you know, this parking and having, you know, an extension over and maybe they add some spots within
There
that.
hasn't
I think they
been
were
a-
hot on that
Yeah,
though.
there-
Yeah, no, I know, but it's just,
Another option.
if we don't, if that's not gonna work,
Yeah.
there needs to be a plan B.
I don't really think that is any closer, just eyeballing it. You know,
Then that's
walking
the-
from down here on up is either equivalent or closer than walking all the way across
I
without
just,
breaking the ruler
I
up.
don't think they want,
They're saying though during the day that that lot should be full, especially if they fill up the building, so.
I think Jeff was saying that this lot, you know, it could be used if you called ahead.
Well,
That
this
was-
is a problem that I have a little bit with that, is that they would have to notify them every time we were to have an activity. You don't always know, I mean, you have an idea how many people are
It's
coming.
not ideal.
It
It's
certainly
not.
isn't ideal, and there are more than 5 people coming. We had Tuesday connections, what is today, Wednesday, yesterday, we had 20, 25 people there. Now, the people that were in the building, maybe 5, maybe 7. The rest of the people are coming from outside,
Okay.
so we need the parking.
Okay, okay.
I mean, it seems like
And-
for all parties, you know, these 15 spots is the best option.
Good.
Plan A only.
Plan. All right, that will be my mission before our next hearing. I will
Awesome.
nail that down.
Good.
Okay.
Any other opinions about the parking? So just back to this, your ratios. So the guy was saying, who's building these, you know, 6 of these facilities, his his percentage was much lower per bedroom, and that number includes staff.
It included staffing and visitors,
Okay.
so,
So that's the peak, not the average.
well, I guess, yeah, if you wanna look at it that way, I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in terms of the other parking spaces for the office park,
Yeah, that's not clear to me.
Okay.
On the chart, he's saying that he's, they're providing basically 1 square foot of parking for every 1 square foot of office space, which is per our regulation. But then last night at the design review board meeting, he was saying that they needed 1 parking space for every 250 square feet of office space, and if it's a 100,000 square foot building, I'm not quite sure how he's working the numbers on that, so that might be a question for him.
okay, let me ask Mark about that. So I guess while we have mobility, we'll talk about mobility on the site. Is anybody?
We talked about,
Yes.
Okay.
Mary Chumo, Public Way Safety Committee. It's my understanding that they have approved a walkway connecting the assisted living facility to Bolton Country Manor. They have approved and included in the plans a walkway from the buildings to the frontage to 117, and they have approved a frontage sidewalk along 117. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Who has approved that?
Well, in Office Park, they've put it on their plan already.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
they've
so-
agreed.
Yeah.
So what, in light of the outcome with the Clinton Savings Bank meeting, is we would like to ask if Condyne would be interested in donating $5,000 in lieu of for a connecting sidewalk across the lacrosse field.
Yeah, I support that. I think that's a great idea.
So, were you able to talk to Parks and Recreation?
I drafted the email and I'm gonna send it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if I need to go to one of their meetings and discuss it with them, how it's gonna work,
Okay.
but
Might need some town money for parking. I don't know if they'll want to pave some spots or something for the lacrosse. Like as part of that. It might be, I'm just saying it might be a combination. Because I've seen the pictures of how the cars are parked on the road, but if you kind of created some angled spots or something somehow, I don't know, or gravelled, not
It's
necessarily.
really tough because I think the police have one point of view about parking there, and then the fire chief and his team have a different view because it's about access to the water hole. Not on the road, but they're parking down the fire truck road to the water pond. So those, I just want to keep, those issues are they're related, but I don't know how they're,
Well, I mean,
deciding factors in terms of the sidewalk.
if you're gonna have a walkway, you need to know what cars are gonna be parking and stuff.
It shouldn't even be an issue, parking versus sidewalk. I mean, I can't even validate that argument in terms of which trumps over the other.
I'm not saying they trump, but they should maybe
Yeah.
work together.
And a couple of years ago, Public Ways reached out to lacrosse people because we recognized that parking was a real issue. They were parking across the street to get to the games, and at the time, we were told they have no problem with parking there. So we never went beyond that. So parking has always been an issue at that site, and at least for, maybe not for the people who attend these games, but for people who are concerned about safety. But I can't even discuss the parking versus
Mhm.
sidewalk. I mean, there should be a sidewalk there, bottom line. Parking can be, there's that, the access road to the tower, Parking spaces can be arranged along the roadway there. I mean, there are places that they can find parking. You cannot park on the road there. That is a no parking area.
So, does everyone agree that we can put that on our list to ask Condyne to make that contribution?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so you
Okay.
can put that on the list.
And then I'll follow Parks and Recreation. I'll talk to them about the parking situation and see what chief
Well,
is
just,
thinking about that.
yeah, just say, we're looking at putting the sidewalk through there, and it's just, the issues I've come up with the fire chief. I don't think the police have weighed in. It's kind of been surrogates mentioning how I guess it's just been
Yeah,
a
I mean,
fire.
when we brought it up with them, they pretty much said the same things, same respect that it's not our land, we don't know what we would do with it, so I mean,
Mhm.
it makes sense to ask them if they would like to donate.
Yep. Yep. Good. What other things are on that list?
Well, actually, I guess I should have just kept my original times on the agenda, because it's now 8 o'clock, and Century Mill's on the agenda now for 8 o'clock. But we still need to talk about, well, for the hearing, it's up to you guys whether or not you want to just wait and talk about the other remaining issues with Bolton Office Park at the next hearing, or,
Sure.
okay.
What were they again?
Just the lighting fixtures and the lighting schedule, signage, construction, design review board, and I'll have Bolton Office Park provide a request for the waiver for the traffic study, and then the board can vote on that.
Okay, great. Does that sound good?
So the process, what's the process of the Board of Selectmen's site plan approval? So they'll wait for after our next meeting?
No, we're gonna do that tonight.
Okay.
So they need advice from planning board to make their ruling on site plan.
And they're doing that tomorrow? or-
And they're doing that tomorrow night, so I'll gather your comments, put it into a letter, and then give it to Linda, and we'll have it for tomorrow night.
So we'll do that after Century Mill.
That's, I think we can switch, flip-flop that, yeah.
Should there be a specific order of site plan versus special permit, or it doesn't
The
matter?
applicant can choose to go whatever direction they would like to.
Okay.
Now that I've kind of been through this process myself, I'm realizing that I think design review board should be first.
Yep.
So moving forward, I'm gonna recommend to applicants that one of the boards trigger design review board, because I think it doesn't really make sense to have design review board go last.
Right, because at the last site plan approval by the selectmen, they used comments from the design review board.
Right, it made sense.
That's the idea.
It was much smoother that way, I think.
I mean, does it make sense? I guess it could.
I think it makes sense to do design review board, then special permit, then site plan review. That would be my recommendation moving forward. Just because they need advice from planning board, it makes more sense for the planning board to have gone through the special permit process
Yeah.
to do that.
I mean, because I didn't necessarily like how the last one went, where they're like, well, we approved this, yes, already.
Right.
It didn't really make sense.
Good, so we'll continue this meeting.
Yeah, we're talking about the selectmen one in the packet here, either October 15th, it talks about the selectmen meeting on November 6th. So that's,
Oh, I'm sorry, I might have that wrong. I thought it was tomorrow night, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's November 6th.
this was a week ago, it was November 6th, they wouldn't have had time to post it 2 weeks to reschedule.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe it is the next.
All right, well, then that works out better.
In any event, I think we should do the comments tonight as quick
Yeah.
time.
The more we can get done ahead of time, the better.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion to continue the hearing?
Do you have a date, or is it just?
I do. I have 2 different dates depending on if we have
Actually,
quorums.
Are we
I'll need-
continuing this? We're just kind of pausing it and doing something else and coming back to it, aren't we? As far as this evening goes? And then
We'll
we
do
can
business
continue
later
it.
today.
I'm sorry?
We'll do business later tonight, but I think we close the hearing, or
Right,
continue the
we
hearing.
continue the hearing.
Okay.
Okay,
Because the hearing and the site plan review comments are 2 separate things.
okay, gotcha.
Can I bring up something else? Peter Ross from Lowe's Road, Public Way Safety Committee. If you're gonna pause it now, can we avoid us staying through the Century Mill? I wanted to raise one other point, and that was traffic. situations or mitigation. We recognise that we don't know exactly what's going to happen when this facility is built and when the Bolton Office Park is going to be fully occupied. But down the road, maybe within the 5-year term, there might be some traffic issues because of the volume. I had a good idea that we could establish a system whereby we could take some money from them in one form or another, either a contribution or as maybe a bond, to perhaps do a traffic study towards the end of that 5-year period and see if there is, in case there is an impact. That would then give us the funds to do a traffic study, or, if we as the town, because, we're concerned about the traffic in and out of there. So I just wanted to raise that as an issue about the, potential traffic problems. Same sort of thing on with Clinton Savings Bank last time. But, we don't know how it's going to be because we're going on sort of projected numbers.
So, the idea was floated, a few meetings ago about trying, we all discussed about trying to look at this whole neighborhood from Bolton Office Park to Bolton Corners, Clinton Savings Bank. So, it was discussed, I think, with Don and, how it could be done, and maybe you can kind of review that, kind of what the outcome of that was.
Basically, in my discussions with Don was that, and I think I've relayed this to Public Way Safety, is that the town the town has control over the maintenance of 117, but they can't make changes to 117, design changes to 117. And at this point, my understanding was that Mass DOT was working on a redesign for the 495 interchange and for 117. That was somewhat negated by Board of Selectmen at the last meeting, so I need to go back to Don now and just find out what is Mass DOT's plan moving forward with 117. My thought was that it was a little premature to be figuring out mitigation measures if Mass DOT was also doing their own thing.
Yeah. So do you guys have any idea when the Mass DOT report is coming out?
The report on Leslie Breeze, Pinewood Road. When we spoke earlier this spring, the comment was made that the report is due out end of summer, early fall. We're now well into early fall, and the report's not out yet, so we can only make the assumption that it's any day now.
I think Don definitely knows what the status is with them.
So are you in contact with Don about that, or with?
No, we had a meeting with him in the late spring, or early summer, and that was his comment from the state. The report was being compiled.
Yeah, I think he's mentioned that to me too, and Don knows I want to talk to him about the traffic issue in Mass DOT, so when I sit down with him to talk about the whole RCAP solution issue, I'll also talk to him about the traffic.
Yeah, so they will, we had a little vote last week, but Eric is saying about the traffic study, but Eric is saying, she looked over the rules and regs. They need to request a waiver from the traffic study in writing, and then we need to vote on it. So we're going to be looking at that at the next meeting. Discussing it.
Why are they waiving the traffic study? Is to use the money elsewhere?
There have been comments, kind of informal comments, like, well, you're asking us to do a lot with the sidewalks and things, so it would be nice if we didn't have to do the traffic study.
And I also think the fact that Clinton Savings Bank was moving forward at the same time, we were trying to figure out how the traffic was going to play out with that project before we kind of moved forward with.
Yeah, that was a pretty detailed report.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could extrapolate the data.
Well, I mean, you'd have to tell us what you think the value of requiring a traffic study or not requiring one, and asking for money in lieu of it for, something.
Yeah, what I'm thinking of is that You know, we may find when all this is fully occupied, all these different businesses, that a lot of small problems have contributed to a big problem. And it's probably at that time when we're going to look for some funding to make some changes or ask somebody else to do some changes. But very often, if you want to do anything, you've got to have at least an engineering report or a traffic study. And I'm thinking down the road, how do we cover ourselves? Or how can we as a town sort of take some initiative in solving some of these traffic problems caused by the development that's going on around there? I'm not wanting to do it now, I'm just thinking down the road. I thought that was a good idea that Erica had.
So the report that you recommended we read for the last meeting, which one was that?
Well,
The audit, the
that's
Mass
the
DOT
traffic
audit.
audit.
That audit, I mean, that seemed to have a lot of good ideas in it that haven't been implemented, so, you know, it seems like these studies get done and then there's no action. and-
Well, I think it's a pick and choose
Right.
on when, you know, recommendations come out. And, I mean, I for one am not impressed with what the state has chosen out of the recommendations and their priority listings. So, you know,
So when 117 becomes state-owned, would they be doing a traffic study? Like Vegas down there?
Very likely, yes. I would-
So, I mean, I don't know if it makes sense to have that fund. I don't know if or when that's planned on happening.
well, but I mean, traffic studies are required for
Yeah.
special permits.
Yeah, they are.
So I wouldn't start like saying you don't need to do a traffic study
Yeah.
because, you know, the state may take over 117 is being used as an excuse in a lot of, to not do things. And so I wouldn't start
Uh-huh.
saying, you know, don't do traffic studies because the state's going to take it over
Yeah.
someday.
But it's an important asset in the negotiation. If we can take it off the table, then there's an incentive for them to do
Yes.
some of the other things.
And that's kind of what their point was, like, hey, we're giving you all these walkways and we weren't
Well,
planning.
but you know what, I'm trying to educate myself on the zoning bylaws, and I'm going through site review plans, and I'm reading things, and you know, what we're like asking for should be
Yeah, the
included in the
sidewalk
plans or anyway. I mean, convenience and safety of vehicular and pedestrian movement within the site. And it says, taking into consideration handicap minors and the elderly, including the location of pedestrian access adjacent to the site. It's all in here. So this is not something they're giving us, it is something that they're being asked to do in the special permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
The special permit is also kind of intended as a framework to work, you know, it's not like everything's set in stone. It's like it's kind of intended to be a negotiation.
Well, sidewalks or funding for adjacent properties aren't written in there either, so it's little gray areas so that
It
we
is,
can
but
do
the
the
nature-
negotiations.
The nature of this particular development, I mean, it's almost
Yeah.
a given that you would want to make a connection between two senior housing developments.
yeah, I'd say the two things that they're doing that seem special is the easement for the 15 parking spots, and, you know, if they're willing to give money for that connection between them and the bank. But the sidewalks in the site and the sidewalks for a frontage, that's in the special permit process, and that's, you know, it's expected that they will do that as kind of, you know, just part of the development, making it work, making it nice. So, yeah, so guess we'll come back to this next time. So,
Dates?
Thank you.
thank you.
The dates, though, we were gonna give it.
Yeah, we're gonna, will we have a quorum? I need 4 of the 5 members present for November 5th at 8 PM.
Should be fine.
I'm good.
November 5th.
Yes,
Hold on. Sorry.
That's our Wednesday meeting.
that's a wet, yeah.
What was the other option?
Or it could be November 19th at 7:45 PM.
Yeah.
That sounds
It's also
good.
the first and third weeks.
I know, I
Yeah, but we
We had
can't,
this conversation
Yeah,
last
that's what it
time.
sounds from
I would make a motion that we continue this hearing until our next meeting on November the 5th.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Thank you.
I'm not bothered, I have to accuse myself from this. I
Okay.
think no.
Thank you, James. So we have Attorney Alan Shaka here representing Century Mill Estates. We also have Andrew Benson. And
I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while.
How are you? Gentlemen? Well, we've done it. This one? Sure.
James Lindenhoff.
Oh, that's right. Nice and it's cleared out. Pretty much. James has to stay here.
where was that?
So the last two documents in your package are making into Century Mill.
So the first item that you're coming before us about is paving, asphalt paving after November 15th. And we have a letter from the town engineer, Fred Hanway, and he's saying, I would recommend that the planning board allow paving after November 15th, conditional upon the weather and temperature, 40 degrees or greater, and the decision to pave would be decided on the actual days of paving. So that, and how would that work with Fred? That he'd get a call? Does he come out?
Yeah, I mean, he's been going out 2 to 3 times a week, and he would be figuring it out in coordination.
We actually, excuse me, sorry. Last year we paved in December, I think. And basically we called Fred and let him know, and the weather has to be within the state guidelines, which is what he's referencing.
And so this is the base coat?
Yes.
Okay. And where, so you have a plan there, where are we talking about?
The road, the remaining portion of road, Old Stone Circle, which is the first right on the right, road on the right.
So that's the one that's crossing the bridge?
Yep, the bridge is
Okay.
completed.
Congrats.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff. Good
Looks
stuff.
nice, I think.
Nice.
All of the stabilization is done and so forth around it. And it's pretty much, the whole road is pretty much at subgrade and ready for gravel. So we're hoping not to be beyond November 15th, but we're here early as a precaution in case it does go beyond November 15th.
Do we have another bridge on Road A?
Yes.
Is that one done?
No.
That's being mothballed for the winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe July 1st or so, you guys will be back for that.
Right. We'll be working on it next year, probably.
Yeah, we grab my
Sandy.
plans.
And,
It'd be nice when you can connect both ends of.
I mean, you can drive through N10 now. Where the crossing is, turned out to be solid ledge. So it's
Slow
So
going.
this is that bridge.
This is the one we're talking about, yes.
So this winter you'll just put in the base coat? and
Yes,
then
the
you
first
put finish?
450 feet of this road is already paved.
Okay.
So the road is a total of 1,900 feet, so it's 1,450 feet.
And I remember you were getting to the back end of that road from Road B, I think, just so you could do stuff over there.
Yes. Yeah, we have permission from one of the people we built the house from to,
Stone Circle Road.
So now you just gotta.
exactly.
So you're paved up to where, and then what are you gonna do this winter for
Let me
weather?
get my glasses.
Culvert's over here.
Yep.
So it's paved up to kind of, actually, you can show these.
Sorry, where's Back Hill?
Over here.
This way straight.
Come up first, right? There's the bridge.
This is, let's see.
Erica's copy, so.
Yeah, we're paved to, let's see, here's the wetland crossing. We're paved to about right there.
Okay, and so you want to complete the whole thing?
Right, it's all in subgrade now, the drainage is all in.
Okay.
It's basically, what's left to do is not that much. The electric laterals, because the electric comes on one side of the street, so you have to have conduit running under the pavement, so we've got some pipes to put in perpendicular to the road. And the same thing with the water line. The water line runs right, that's not under the pavement. It's outside of the pavement. So the main line's not in, so that can be done afterwards, after paving. We just need to have like the services to the houses on the opposite side of the main. So there's not much left. But
So that's the one you're mothballing, this culvert?
yes,
There?
yeah. We started that only because we didn't have the extension of the Conservation Commission permit. So to protect our permit, we started the work in order to have the ability to have it done in case the permit wasn't extended. But the permit was extended.
Good, so there was, so do we need to vote on that, Erica?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that the applicant is able to continue paving after November 15th in accordance with Fred Hamway's recommendations regarding the weather.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? And then there's one other item, that was the waiver, the slope waiver. So in the subdivision rules and regs, is that right? Section 6241 embankments outside the right-of-way shall be evenly graded and pitched at a slope of no greater than 4 to 1, horizontal to vertical.
Educate me.
So it's,
But is this from our rules and regs, or is this from the special permit?
okay,
So is this a
so
variance
is-
from what was approved, or a variance from our typical reg?
So that's section 6, whatever, is
Yeah.
from the subdivision rules and regs. That's the subdivision approval, and those are the waivers listed. So one of the waivers is that he doesn't have to do 4 to 1 slopes.
Gotcha.
outside of
Okay.
The,
So, yeah, so just, 41, that's, so every 1 feet up, that's 4 feet.
that's
4 out, 1 up, 4 out, 1 up at the stairs.
So
To the
that's-
rise
It's
of the
very,
stairs.
very, not very, very.
2 to 1 is typical just for like soil, regular soil that isn't rocky. That's
Okay.
like what it can hold. So 4 to 1 is half of that. So what's the request?
Well, when we got the approval, the current slope that's approved for the detention basin is actually 3 to 1. That was already approved. But the current plan, some places throughout the subdivision shows these concrete walls. And generally, the reason for them was to, so that the engineers could design the slopes to meet regulations without asking for a waiver. Because when you're first coming in to get an approval of a subdivision, you're trying to ask for as little breaks as possible.
Yep.
So they show these walls so that the
So you don't
toe of
need
the slope
Okay.
can be made higher so that when it gets to the top,
They can,
you can meet the
Okay.
requirement.
Okay.
Now that it's approved, both myself and the Conservation Commission see the benefit of not doing these concrete walls. They're not very sightly, they're
Okay.
ugly to begin with. Plus, from the Conservation Commission's point of view, they agree that they're unsightly, but also they inhibit the wildlife movement.
yeah.
So these aren't big walls, but
Right.
they're probably, I think the walls that's shown on the definitive drawing is like a 4-foot wall.
So
So
these
we
are all,
eliminate that.
these are all of them? or
9C
just-
down
Just
here.
this
It's just this
particular
one in particular.
As a matter of fact, the planning board saw the
Right
benefit
down here.
of like saving trees and stuff, and did give us a general
This is originally.
waiver to have slopes greater than,
There's the one.
steeper than the requirement to save trees. This is sort of the same in the sense that it makes things prettier, also it's better for the wildlife.
Okay.
It's not necessarily to save trees, but it's sort of, in this, I think, in the same genre.
So do we even?
Does 2-to-1 work
Yeah.
here in general, do you
Yes.
think, or it works here because of the quality of the soil, you think?
No.
It's just a
2-to-1
general,
works.
it's a
Yeah,
standard
2-to-1
that
works fine.
works.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and you have to take into consideration too, it's a detention basin, it's a berm with a detention basin, which is made out of like more clay
Clay.
material, so it's not gonna move.
Okay.
It's fine.
And Carol's on board, it sounds like?
That's your preference.
Typically, just in terms of engineering,
Yeah.
you'd rather just do the slope for.
Okay, all right, all right.
So-
Plus, actually, like, for example, there's also financial benefit to the town. Eventually, the maintenance of these detention basins, when the roads are accepted, are taken over by the town, so they would pick up the maintenance of the wall. There's just no, so you know, if you can eliminate something to be maintained,
Okay.
it's good.
Okay.
But, I mean, my belief.
Yeah.
I have to do it.
So you've reviewed this, Fred's reviewed it.
And to be honest,
you
he's built it this way without the
do 2-to-1
retaining wall.
grade, then construct walls.
So it's,
Yeah,
yeah, so
but
Fred's
it's
fine
really
with it.
not,
Splitting hairs, kind of?
it's not really the money.
Okay.
It's, they're not right, they're ugly,
Okay, all right, okay,
you
okay.
know,
Okay.
and,
It's not-
Bolton's not
it's
gonna
not
have
a
concrete
fluid stone
plays.
wall.
right, it's a
One of those
concrete.
prefab, how do you do, yeah.
Yeah, so, and
Fit stone stacked on
there's
stone.
really no benefit to anybody.
Right, so why
Uh,
are we doing it, okay.
Yeah,
No, I don't like the look of them.
but when you're in the approval, when you're going for approvals.
Yeah, let's eliminate the variance. No, I get it, yeah.
You don't, you just design everything to meet the requirement,
Yep.
so that's why it was done that way.
Great, so do we have?
And we've actually eliminated another one someplace else already.
I'll make a motion to grant the waiver to remove the retaining wall at the bottom of detention basin 9C and increase the grade from up to 2-to-1.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against?
By the way, I would add that the grade's really, that's the maximum the grade will be. In many places, it will be
2.5,
less.
3.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if we'll actually have something in 2-to-1, if it'll, basically, the toe of the slope is gonna be where it was, always with the wall. And we're just gonna go to the top where it was designed, and in many places, it's not a 2-to-1, it'll be, you know, could be 3-to-1, whatever it is.
And did these areas get seeded, or you just
Yeah,
let
they
nature?
Yes, they will be planted with the lower portions of this slope are in adjacent upland resource area, as termed by the
Yeah.
Concom, which means they're within they're not wetland, but they're within the buffer.
Yep.
So that they have, it's a specific planting plan, and then, so they get treated with plants, trees, and a wetland mix. And then the rest of it that's not within the 100 feet of the buffer gets seeded with grass.
Great, great. Good, I think that's it.
But you should come out and take a look, because
Yeah.
it's actually a pretty good looking wall.
You selling, or are you slowing down for the winter?
Well, we did slow down,
And he's
but
selling his
I
vine.
sat down with Michelle, who does our on-site sales, and saying, geez, we gotta do something. And I was talking to her, and we discovered that she had only one house listed, which was the one that was built.
Yep.
So it was $1.2 million.
Yep.
So we offer houses from around 800, 850. So that
Might be a little.
that was a factor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in town, we hear that like
Like a $1 million
Bolton's
plus in Zillow is a
prices are bouncing back. And I always
Are
wonder,
you not bouncing? Oh,
yeah, as fast as other towns. That's what you hear. You
I don't know.
Some people say that, not everybody, but I just wondered, is that the
Somebody-
Century Mills effect? Like everybody's
Well, no,
buying
we would-
there and they're not buying like older houses?
I can't tell
mean,
stuff, so in this town.
Bolton generally, because I'm attracted, so watching this for years, Bolton is typically around between 45 and high 50s houses conveyed per year.
Yep.
So with our sales, we definitely would be pulling the average up, the median, because we don't,
Price.
all of our houses are
A+.
8+, and, you know, that's above the median. I remember probably 5 years ago now, that the Bolton's median price at one point was higher than Hopkinton and Southborough, for example. I think a lot of it depends on which houses sell per year.
Okay.
You know,
Looking international.
and that was all houses, not just new houses.
Yeah.
I think it depends on who sells their house during the year.
Yeah, no, it's
That
just
was
good to
probably-
fact check it, because you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
hear these comments like,
Yeah, that's
oh,
why I
Bolton's
asked.
lagging behind, what's wrong with our town, it's very negative, and it's just good to get some of your advice.
Well, yeah, but let's look at if you look at, you know, sub $500,000 houses, you know, maybe those aren't moving as fast because somebody could get into the Acton Boxborough school district or something, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're looking like, you know, I mean, that's like a different range, $1 million house, you know, but.
Where are they
Well,
coming
the
from?
average, I mean, at the time, I think that the average, I forget what it was, I don't want to say I forget now, but it was higher than Hopkinton and Southborough at that, at one point. And then like later, a year or two later, they were a little higher.
What section of the 80s and 90s, when George Dunnell's at Kettle Hole and Nashaway was selling a bunch of houses up there, and they were at the time all of the higher end stock, and they were all going. I'm sure that's what it was.
You know, but
What section, you said there's gonna be some multi-million-dollar houses, right? What section was that?
you know, when we started the project, this particular street
Oh, the
is
circle.
really pretty. I mean, the land out there in general is as nice a piece of land as I've ever seen. But this particular street,
So some of these were.
Right.
Is this a drawbridge? You can like pull it up.
That's what we did.
it looks, it came out really nice. So, we had,
It's awesome.
frankly, I had thought of as a concept, that to keep this as like for larger houses. Frankly though, generally, the houses we're building out there, they're pretty good sized houses.
Yep.
So, I guess I would partially say that I didn't expect to be building the houses
The high-end stuff.
that we're already building.
Okay.
So there's, I don't know how much more you could
Yeah,
really
yeah.
increase it, frankly. I mean, we have, you know, larger houses out there anyway. But,
Who is buying? Towards Boston, reloads, or is it just a huge?
well, we've actually had quite a few people from Bolton.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's the great thing about
That's good.
Bolton, is a lot of people live within the town. And
Yeah.
that's what
Upgrade.
impresses me.
Good, they're not bringing new kids in.
Yeah.
No, they're having more, they're saying they're having
Eleven bedroom.
No,
We
because
have had people from Acton.
the schleps like
people
me move into the cheaper houses with kids.
from, you know, Quincy. And,
Okay.
You have doctors from Boston?
yeah, well, you've had, then you have always, like some relocation people from
Okay.
Maryland and so.
So the crazy Tim Tebow rumor last summer, was that like?
I had to sign a confidentiality.
I don't know where it's great marketing. I can't say
I don't know how that rumor got started, but I
But you
never,
love it.
I never heard anything from anybody. I used to tell people that, what's her name?
Shaq moved to Sudbury for a
Who
while.
was his girlfriend? It was, or,
Oh, Giselle.
Yeah.
Giselle was looking at real estate in every town.
no,
Oh, Tim
I forget her
Tebow's
name.
girlfriend. Oh,
Yeah, no.
No, but great, good to see you.
Thank you very much. So, but the crossing is done, it's nice and neat, and everything's buttoned up for the winter, and.
We're all gonna go take a look.
Yeah,
Check it out this weekend.
I think it looks attractive.
and we'll see you guys on November 5th, right? For the public hearing? For the
Oh, yeah,
applications
yes.
to the subdivision approval?
Thank you. This is all yours, did I take in?
No, that's us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night. Have a good night.
Oh, can I ask one question?
Sure.
We were getting ready to submit building permits for the models.
Okay.
Anything I should know about?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'll follow up with Mike, the building inspector, but I don't think so.
But in terms of like, what's the,
You got your
The
bonds in
money,
place,
bonds
the
and-
taxes all paid up and all that.
Yeah, well, that's the, not anything,
bonds and
That's the only
taxes?
So that's,
Those are my big concerns ever.
yeah, I mean, the taxes is part of the building,
right.
Okay.
application now, so
Yep.
that definitely gets checked. I'm not sure about the bond. I don't think there needs to
It's
be
a
a
model.
model,
Right.
yeah.
Well, no,
We
as
don't
long
need
as
a
they're in
release
the
yet.
Right,
stretch of the lot.
Those numbers
You got
come
the
in for the bond after we pay,
Yeah.
so that more work's done, which will,
Hopefully we just,
yeah. Basically, it should be pretty, it should mimic what we did the first time, more or less. It'll be about the same amount of work completed or same amount uncompleted,
Right,
basically.
okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Right, thank you.
So
So
back
we go back to
to,
Bolton Office Park.
back to
yeah,
Bolton Office Park. So there's this long memo from Horsley Whitman Group. What is that?
That, I wanted to put it into your packet. That's the second review done by Horsley Witten for stormwater. So they're
Great.
still working that out with conservation.
So,
This is more of an FYI.
That's just
rather than
FYI.
us doing
exactly.
anything.
so,
Okay.
so Bolton Condyne did an engineering plan.
Mhm.
Conservation Commission asked Horsley Whitman to peer review it.
Yep,
And they came back with comments.
yep, and then Bolton Office Park addressed those comments, and now we're on the second round of
Okay.
comments.
So it's all working. Have we gotten an answer? I was just wondering about what the fire suppression system is going to be.
No, and you know what? Should add that to our list, because I know you wanted to talk to them about that, right?
So that fire pond I keep talking about, it has one use. The fire trucks pull up there and fill up
Yep.
or use it if there was a fire. But then the pond, based on what Jeff O'Neill said, has a pipe that goes directly into the office building
Yep,
and feeds all the sprinklers.
yep.
And so I was just wondering, is this new assisted living facility, is it drawing from that? And if it is, I just thought it would be good to have the appropriate engineer just check. We did have a visitor who said, a pond that doesn't have a stream going into it doesn't silt up a lot in 18 years. But in my experience, a pond with cattails, like the cattails rot every year, they do silt up. So I just wanted to kind of check
So
the
it's not a
gallons.
capacity issue as much as it sounds like it's a silt issue.
Yeah, it just fills in at the edge, and every year the cattails get closer to the deep area. And it just, if they're gonna use that, but if they have a separate system,
It's a non-issue, yeah.
it's not a big issue.
The gentleman sitting there,
Yeah, he
a
said
couple
there's-
meetings ago, say, oh, there's a ton there, and
That's the,
Yeah.
for the fire.
if they ran that thing dry, it's going to be a much bigger
we got a
problem
bigger
than.
problem in town, yeah.
than-
Yeah, he said there's a lot, but I don't know,
Okay.
who he's representing, because we've had the fire chief I don't know if we've seen the fire chief.
Looks like he was on the fire department. At least
I
that's
think
the
he's
impression I
on
The
got.
only reason I brought it up,
EMS.
because I thought he was, but maybe, yeah, maybe not. It sounded too anecdotal. You'd like some information.
Well, no, only if they're gonna tie
if they're
into
tying
it for
in
the
and
new
using it.
building.
Yeah, okay, all
I
right.
mean, 20 years I don't know how old is that, when was Bolton Office Park put in?
87?
Yeah.
87.
Maybe.
And when I look at it, it just looks like it's almost all cattails, but,
Okay.
I'm not an engineer who can calculate
Okay.
water. But somebody would have to go in there and do.
Maybe they with a
Well, they'd have
bucket
to
and
do
a-
some
So how does that
quantities.
system work? Does he get flushed? Like like they fill up some holding tanks, I assume, and then,
Well, they could dredge it in the wet, so they could go
I'm
with
saying, how does the
clay
office
job.
parks system currently work? Would they
I
fill,
think there's a pipe in there and there's a
Oh.
pump house.
they fill up
and
some holding tanks and, so it's, the water's ready to go?
Probably.
There must be some holding tanks that they can draw on it, like the
I don't
Bolton
think they
Manor.
flush very often. Every time we broke a sprinkler at Home Depot, it was the nastiest water in the world that fell out.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, imagine
Oh, yeah.
the height of the intake, if it's in the sill, or it's like in the middle or the top,
Yep.
it wouldn't be drinking water. That's the intention. But
Yeah.
when we looked at the Bolton Manor during our site, they have like a pump house and they have huge
That's why, yeah, that's right,
tanks
that's right.
underground. So just wanted to know what their water, the fire suppression system's gonna be for that. So moving on to site plan review. So you have something for us to read?
Well, I included the zoning bylaw that pertains to site plan review, so that way you guys can know exactly the topics that are included in the site plan review. So it's actually,
This is F?
it's F, number 4. In reviewing the site plan, the planning board and board of selectmen shall consider the following matters.
We're on 3 out of page 3?
It's page
Form of
4.
wiring.
Yeah, of 11.
So these are the things they consider and they want our feedback. So, is that right?
Yes.
So, well, I'll just briefly go through them. So A is protection of adjoining premises against detrimental uses by provision for surface water drainage, sound, site buffers, generation of electrical machine interference, preservation of views, light, and air. And then B is convenience and safety of vehicular and pedestrian movement within the site, the location of driveway openings in relation to traffic or to streets serving the site, and when necessary, compliance with other regulations for the handicapped, minors, and elderly, including the location of pedestrian access adjacent to the site. Adequacy and the arrangement of parking and loading spaces in relation to the proposed uses of the premises and abutting property. Adequacy of the methods of disposal of refuse and other waste resulting from the uses permitted on the site. Have we talked about the dumpsters and things?
They've updated the plans to include
Okay.
a dumpster.
Relationship of structures and open spaces to the natural and planned landscape, existing buildings and other community assets in the area, in compliance with other requirements of the zoning bylaw. Demand on the town's resources, water supply, fire protection, police enforcement, highway department. Location, size, lighting, and appearance of all site signage, traffic and parking lights, fencing, petroleum and chemical storage facilities, fire and life safety equipment. So we haven't even gotten into signage really, and is there a lighting plan?
I don't believe there is at this
Well,
point.
signage really is in our bag. I mean, in the sense of the design review,
Right.
have an input on it, and then just assign in some general with selectmen.
I think, you can at least have a conversation though.
Well, just that, on the bank, Clinton Savings Bank, basically in their package, they included signage and lighting.
Yeah, but a residential facility versus a retail facilities, a couple different animals. I can't imagine that the assisted living would need as many signs as the bank wanted. Probably something up front and something on the building.
I think design review board would want to review the main sign though, because they definitely made modifications to Clinton Savings Bank for improvement.
Well, it's just how does
I
it
like
work?
what they
Yeah.
come up with.
Yeah.
design review that is.
Yeah, so how it works with the existing Bolton Office Park sign, whether they're
Okay.
redoing the whole thing, or they're just putting a shingle on what's there.
Or if it's gonna be a completely different sign.
Completely.
They
Right.
add a like us on Facebook thing to it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't like that?
I actually think it's smart marketing in terms of, find out what people want and then, try and put it in there. But I'm not sure what to look for on Facebook as. Do you know what Eric, do you know what the Saltbox Facebook page is?
I do.
Yeah. Give me
It's the,
fill me in on that sometime.
I think it's like, what's the address, 526?
How is it, just 526 Main?
626.
Oh, 626 Main, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll look them up tomorrow.
There is no lighting plan, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that one of the comments then?
Yeah.
Or I guess we can
want
go through
one of
this
I
those.
mean, I'd like to see a package from them that's the same as what Clinton Savings Bank provided. That was very thorough.
I'm with Jonathan on that. I mean, obviously they have to have lights because it's a house. People immediately coming and going. So we know they're gonna be there. Let's see what the
Okay,
specifics are.
so lighting plan, and then lighting fixture details.
Mhm. Hours of operation. So just,
Operation,
Visiting hours? Or is
and
it
the
not that
lighting
sort of thing?
schedule too,
Yeah, I mean, if they can help us understand what their hours of, what are the hours of operation for assisted living, like the night staff?
just
the-
generally speaking, because I know they won't know for sure.
Well, there's like, I know are there 2 or there 3 shifts? There must be like an industry standard where you have to have so many staff at night. When do they have visiting typically? Just,
And then, so signage, I guess, is knowing what they're doing for signage.
But that would be for everybody needs to see, the DRB needs to see the signage,
Right.
the Board of Selectmen, and,
Can I just ask a general question? So, this seems to be all stuff that's also in the special permit. Isn't it kind of like redundant?
I think it is to some degree, yeah.
That's why you want to say plan to go last. Or, yeah.
I mean, just because I made this comment before.
well, it's kind of a safety thing.
Yeah, to have
So if
multiple
we
boards.
the planning board decides we don't think any of that's important,
Right.
there's a safeguard that people can go to the Board of Selectmen and say, no, this is really
Right.
important to us, and the planning board didn't
Yeah, we
think
said,
so, but we think you should
Yeah.
consider it.
that makes
And
sense.
so it's that type of safeguard if somebody's
So that,
asleep at the switch, or I don't know.
that makes sense. It doesn't make sense the other way.
Which way?
How it worked last time.
Yeah, no, I
It's
mean,
just an ordering issue.
But it makes sense what you're saying there, that, if we were all like, God, do whatever you want,
right.
that the board of selectmen would be like, no, you have to do all this. I mean, that makes total sense to me. I was just trying to
That would
understand.
never happen.
No, it
but-
was kind of backwards last time, with them saying you're being too detailed,
Yeah,
rather than,
I'm just trying to understand our place in the world.
yeah.
Well, I think the way that our bylaw reads, it makes more sense for special permit to go first. I think generally speaking,
Yeah, yeah,
site plan should go first because it's more of a general overview where special permit is more detailed.
yeah.
But that's not how our bylaw reads, so it makes more sense in our case to go special permit to site plan.
So they've kind of fulfilled a lot of site planning stuff so far, but they haven't gotten into the design review details
Uh-huh,
yet.
yeah.
So site plan is, it's kind of this scale, or
Yeah.
a little bit more detailed, but,
Well, I mean, yeah, for instance, the Clinton Savings Bank, they wanted like different shrubs in front of the
Right.
wellhead or something.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
The way I think about it in my mind is design review is, how is this whole thing designed? Site plan is, does it get built or not? And then the special permit is, are you gonna operate it? At least that's how I visualize it in my head. Because you can design something but not build it. You can build it but not operate it.
So the hard thing with, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
Breaking news.
So where you going now after this meeting? Do you need to stay at my house?
We can continue.
Don't lock the door when Lee's coming back, sleeping in here.
Actually, it's not a bad idea.
The truck's big enough, I'm sure you can get some shut-eye on that. It's not that cold out yet.
So, in here, they can ask for a development impact statement. That's, very broad. Any type of engineer.
Can I just back up for 1
Sure.
minute? I just think it's important to read this section. So, this document is regarding site plan review, and it's from the Citizen Planner Training Collaborative. I went to one of their seminars when I first started, and it was extremely helpful to understand special permit versus site plan review. So, and I can actually send this to you in an email, but, so there's a section in here where it compares, it's, comparing site plan review to special permit. And basically it says, in the special permit process, the full range of discretion is available to the special permit granting authority. Neither the zoning enabling act nor the town zoning bylaw gives an absolute right to the special permit. The board is not compelled to grant the permit. It has discretionary power in acting thereon, and then it references the case where that was stated. Let's see. So on the other hand, the Supreme Judicial Court has defined site plan review as regulation of a use rather than its prohibition. So further down, it basically says, in sum, site plan review can only be used to shape a project. It cannot be used to deny a project except in rare circumstances. So again, legally, special permit has much more authority than site plan review.
The selectmen.
So,
They don't have the power, we do.
Send that to the selectmen.
Yeah, so, if you do talk to planners and planning consultants and ask them to look at our bylaw, we do have this authority, to act the way we were acting, to have the discussions, to negotiate, all of those things that we were being told we didn't have, we do have, and even with the design review criteria, those things have been done even before that, but that's out of the new layer. So, it's just a lot of drama, but, so, moving on, was there anything else we should read about
I don't
that?
think so. I think it's just a matter of any other concerns or comments or advice that I should be including. Now, did we want to say anything about the connection between Bolton Office Park and Clinton Savings Bank?
I think if we all support that,
Yeah,
if we're saying we support that connection, we think it's important. I think as the design review board has also made that statement.
Okay.
I can comment, it came up in our hearing from a member of the audience, and we showed it our support.
Okay.
But based on what she just said, it should determine the acceptance of site plan approval, but part of the special permit. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe,
Yeah, I agree with
maybe I should take it out.
So that they shouldn't even, I don't know,
Well, they're involved. It's good to let them know
that we're gonna ask this.
What our plan,
that we support that
You're
because,
totally right.
because they're, I think as the executive, they're gonna have to approve
Yep.
it's being built, across that land. So
And we
they
need
have a
their, we
role
need
to
their,
play.
we need their support in build, getting it built,
So, before, I think there was a consensus of support before, these last two meetings, and it seemed like there was tonight. I know from comments from Erica that the design review board thinks the connection is important. Is that correct?
They definitely do, yep.
And then we have the mobility committee, saying the same thing.
Have we talked in big picture theory to Condyne about it?
About the connection?
Have we broached it?
Yeah, we
I
did.
don't think, did we?
We did, and they said, it's not our land, we don't know what's going on over there.
I think he had concerns about involvement with Mass DOT and how that would
Liability
work,
and-
And then I
Direct
think we
roll.
talked about
Yeah.
taking the sidewalk and not putting it along the actual
Yep.
road, making it just a
Yeah, you're
meandering
right.
path.
Okay.
And then that kind of brought up the issue with the fields and the parking.
We brought it up with them, they never said no, so it's, you know,
Conversation we'll have.
we can have that
Okay,
conversation. It's not gonna be something that's gonna make or break the special
No,
permit,
right.
but it's something
Yeah,
we think
Yep,
is
yep, yep.
important.
I mean, if they say no, absolutely not, yeah, I don't think it would.
Do you have a figure? Should I try and find a figure as to, you said $7 for parking lots. Do we have an idea?
Well, I've heard David Lindsay say it costs $30,000 to do, was it a mile?
No, I can't be.
That seems high, right? I can ask, I can ask.
To do the last bit of paving from, you know, where it ends there at Bolton Office Park to, I don't know, maybe it was a half, I don't know.
So don't get
Well, just use
$30,000 for a
your-
mile.
It's not a
It's gonna be
good,
way more than that for a mile.
Use your same calculation.
well, yeah, so $7 a square foot.
Well, I know Clinton Savings Bank, I'm pretty sure, and I
Well, it'd
did
be $6
have that
a linear foot.
conversation with them again, but I'm pretty sure along their frontage, they figured it out, and it was gonna cost them like $6,000 to do it.
Okay.
How many feet?
So
Where's your
they have-
frontage?
I
Not
think it's
200.
around 130
100?
feet, something
Okay.
like
How wide
that.
is a
But
meandering?
not, that's the entire frontage, I don't know with the driveway and
How
stuff.
long is a meandering sidewalk? 3
They're
feet?
saying it was 200 feet.
Well, how wide is the?
Oh,
so
how
three-
wide?
4 feet, then it is, right?
3 or 4 feet?
3.5 to 4.
Yeah.
So just go 3.5 times how many feet it needs to be, and then use your $7.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're curving against the whole thing, it might be a little bit
A
different.
mile long is about 18,000 square
But
feet.
The thing
roughly.
that's,
So it's gonna be 6 figures for sure,
yeah.
unless we get some sort of awesome Herald discount.
What's important to me though is like the existing sidewalks in Bolton seem like they were paved over soil, compacted soil, and they're unbelievably cracked, like immediately. So it's like, we want them to do these ones right,
Mhm.
you know, dig down 12 inches, put in the dense grade, compact it, and then, like your driveway, nobody's driveway
Right.
cracks the way sidewalks do.
Yeah.
I mean, our sidewalks crack before the road does.
Well,
Go to Coventry Road, off of Sugar Road, and try and walk the sidewalk. It's hilarious how awful that is.
I mean, Clinton Savings Bank especially, I mean, if they had a,
Well, I think
awfully cracked sidewalk, it would look poorly on there.
yeah, no, they're gonna do a nice one.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about what, if we get this money and we do it, it
Well, we'd
should
be-
match the standards of the
Yeah.
ones that are being built by the two businesses.
Yeah.
Coventry Woods, yeah.
Well, I assume we could go by our subdivision rules and regs, the details for the sidewalks in there.
I think they've done it, but it's been on the cheap, the sidewalks in town.
Have you ever seen a sidewalk being eaten by moths?
I have, they're very slippery. Yeah. That's a weird one, because moss likes it acidic. So,
Some stretches that are actually functional, but not nearly the whole road.
so I don't know if you want, if that makes sense to put it in there that, that the mobility committee, the planning board and the
I can do that.
DRB
Well,
consider
I'll
this
draft it,
connection
and then you guys
important.
can modify it
Okay.
any way you'd like. I can certainly add that.
Yeah.
And then, I think then we should also put in the fact that Bolton Office Park is doing the easement and maybe
Yeah.
some language on how
Yeah.
we're gonna figure out how to get that parking.
Yeah, if we say that's gonna be the town land, how exactly, because the selectmen would have to drive that too, I guess, with the budget.
Mhm.
Okay,
So on your list of things,
Can't come out of planning board's budget.
the
All our
request for the
salaries will
waiver for
get
the
cut.
traffic study.
the what?
The traffic study, that should probably be a comment that they're,
Their request, they're gonna request a waiver.
and that the board may,
But we already voted to waive it, didn't we?
no, you didn't vote, you just kind of agreed, you all agreed. It wasn't a formal vote.
No.
So we have to do a redo on that. So what are we saying to the?
I'm gonna talk to Bolton Office Park, I'll tell Mark that he needs to actually put a road like a written request, and then a formal vote needs to be taken.
Okay,
And then we can
so
have that
that,
discussion.
that isn't resolved.
Yeah,
So you're gonna put in your thing that we're gonna vote on it?
I can do that, yep. Oh, design review board, that they're still out there reviewing the project?
Yep. So we're waiting for their report.
Okay, I don't know if you want me to add in the fact that that sort of sidewalk to nowhere, you wanted it relocated to the existing parking lot?
Yeah, so let's look at that together.
Sidewalk to nowhere.
I mean, I don't know if that's, the,
It goes somewhere now, right? And it's just kind of truncated with the development? That's what the deal is?
it's the sidewalk above the big parking lot. So we've been trying to get them to make this huge unused parking lot more user-friendly, and I just think this sidewalk should move down next to the side. So we have the sidewalk on there, and it's just kind of odd to go up there and over. It'd be better to have a nice sidewalk along the side that starts connecting.
So you're saying going down the middle of the parking lot?
Not, I mean, that would be great, but, that's maybe asking a lot, but moving this sidewalk just next to these parking spots at the edge. I don't know
What's
if this-
between their plan and what's there now? It's just,
This is just lawn. So it's just this weird sidewalk that exists. They're kind of tying into it, but I don't think anybody's gonna use it where it is. And I think if it's there, it's gonna be,
because the parking lot is down,
this
Here.
parking lot goes.
yeah.
So, do we have one that shows the whole thing?
I think it's the other way.
That's this. Yeah, so that gets at it. So this funny walkway that's there,
Yeah.
just moving it down, so you can park anywhere here, come up, walk along there, it connects to these parking, this connects over to here, the sidewalks that are proposed. So,
I mean, is it meant as a cut through to anything?
this,
Yeah.
right now, it's not working, and so I think, basically this huge they're gonna have people parking there, but this huge parking lot is gonna be getting more use from this area, so it just makes sense that on one side, not the wetland side, that they have a path, a sidewalk
That's already there.
that links to there, rather than you're gonna walk up and then over is weird. So it's just linking into these sidewalks that are gonna go into this building and linking into the sidewalks that come around there. So, I don't know if the selectmen need to get into, that,
level of
but I
detail.
want, I wanna bring that up, if you could bring that up with Mark,
Okay, so not as a comment then,
yeah.
okay, that can just be addressed with them.
Well, I mean, it is a site plan issue, we're trying to make that larger parking space more user-friendly than it is,
So
but,
I'll leave it then.
okay.
I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing I can think of, the fire pond issue, whether or not the assisted living facility, the sprinklers are gonna be fed from that pipe, should that be a comment?
I mean, if you can ask Mark about that would be great.
And if he says yes, then should that still be a comment?
Yeah, I don't understand the comments we're supposed to give and how they use them, but if that could be in there.
Imagine the town's resources, including affecting the town's water supply, fire protection, police enforcement, and highway department. I think it's a fair comment to
I
make.
think it's a fair comment. Okay, fire protection.
To F4F.
Actually, then, if that's the case, I wonder, because in
For
my,
the selectmen at home.
when I had provided the comments, I had one from, the fire department about the life landing pad.
Oh, yeah.
Should that be a comment then too?
Yeah,
'Cause
so
they haven't really.
The far end of the parking lot.
Let's talk about the life. Where is that?
It was in their back parking lot where they're saw cutting and putting in.
No, over here.
Oh,
Where's this? Yeah, I think in here, this
I
is
think he said the back corner of it.
in there.
so how is that? It just gets a special marking that a helicopter can see from the sky?
No, that's just where their designation is right now, and if, I don't know, if it needs to get relocated, I guess is the question. Or maybe it's where maybe you're right, maybe it's over where this existing parking lot is here now that's going away. I'm not sure.
So we'd like to see that on the plan, or is it more defined, or?
I think it just needs to be coordinated with the fire department to make sure that it continues to be designated somewhere on the property.
Mhm. So that's for every business, or that's just because of it's assisted living? Facilities need that.
No, it's existing. I'm not sure why it was chosen for this parking lot, but the fire department just brought it to my attention, so
Okay.
I made it a comment. I can follow up with them.
So-
But
Okay, that'd be great. So what did Chief Metzner write us a letter about the fire pond?
he did in relation to
Did you read?
Clinton Savings Bank. That was an email. And
Okay, what-
I didn't put it in your package for Bolton Office Park, but his comment was about his concerns for maintenance moving forward and who's gonna maintain it.
So I think what, like 20,000 a year gets appropriated for clearing out fire ponds.
Yes.
So should we just rely on that? Or,
It was a big topic of conversation last year, whether 20,000 should get appropriated.
yeah, that was a big conversation, like they don't work, or um, so does anybody have any feelings about asking them to clear it out, dredge it? I mean, there's the
If
issue.
it's going to service the building,
Well, one would be serving the building, but the other would be dredging it
Serving
as
the
a
town.
fire resource
Yeah,
for the three buildings on this the three buildings on this property plus the neighborhood. I think, there was talk about there being a fund for all the, because this fire pond serves Delta Financial,
Yep.
Clinton Savings Bank, Bolton Corners, all the businesses, so I
and
just.
it's town property or it's on conduct property and we have some sort of a use agreement?
I'm not sure about where that pipe is
Yep.
that comes out. I'm not sure what property that's on, but the pond itself is on Bolton Office Park.
Okay,
So I think it's an easement.
it's gotta be like a use
It's
agreement.
an easement. Yeah, you see these pipes coming up out of these ponds.
Yeah, Long Hill Road's got one, yeah.
But I think when this was first permitted, the Board of Selectmen, as part of site plan review, said, you need to have a fire pond,
Okay.
and we need to have this.
Access.
Yeah.
Did it
So-
talk about who is to maintain it?
I don't think it does.
Okay.
In a special permit.
So, how do people feel about asking them to investigate and maintain the fire hole part?
I don't think it's a bad thing to ask. I think the first question is a question to the chief, if we didn't ask him yet, and say, how does this one rate in relation to the other ones? And I only come back to that because of that gentleman's comment. Oh, this one's huge and there's tons of capacity here, there's no problem with it.
Right.
If that's the chief's comment and feeling as well, I'd probably have a different opinion.
They could say though, it's on our land, don't use it then if you're gonna make us dredge it, you know? They could just maintain it themselves, can't they?
Well, it's in, you know, the fire hole is in our, you know, purview as well as the Board of Selection, and to kind of look at it
Yeah, make sure
and
it's
think
safe.
about fire safety. So it's just, what did Chief Metzner say? And it'd be good to know what he said and where this one is on the maintenance plan. Like,
That's kind of,
it's
that's
probably not the highest need, like, I know there are others that are
Yep.
like filling in, but where is this one on their rotation?
Yeah, it's a tough question, because it's like, typically, it would be a public thing, but they're also using it.
Well, this one is really for this business neighborhood, and, you know, I think all the businesses should be contributing to it.
Yeah.
This isn't like a residential, that,
They said they do use it, though. I mean, they fill up their tanks with it,
yeah.
so I don't know.
So that's just a question.
Whether it needs to
Not,
be
you know,
some type of fund or bond or something.
yeah, just, you know, where is it on the list? Is it at the bottom, middle, or is it at the top?
What's the
So,
idea?
I think they do 2 or 3 a year,
Okay.
so.
Where
like-
is this in the packet?
Like Town Pond, the one by the school.
Yep.
I know that's like silting in, there's like 6 inches of
Yeah.
water, but there's a fill pipe there. But I've seen other ones, like, I guess that's Berlin Road, they recently
Yep.
dug that one
Yep.
out. And,
I mean, should there be some type of, maybe not, like some type of fee for square footage of the building? You know, how much water we would need, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I just think there are a lot of businesses close to it here, so it really makes sense. It's, you know, the residential ones maybe are kind of few and far between. Like, I can't think of one near my house, but I drive by them.
Yeah,
I want to say the one right in front of Houghton Pond, or Houghton Farms, was
Mhm, yeah.
dug out for this purpose.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
you're golden on run.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get more input from Chief Metzner.
Okay, and then, I guess the last thing is just the quality of the facility, if there should be any type of comment just generally about, you know, how the town should be sort of staying on top of the project as it moves forward, and once they have an operator in place, you know, are we gonna have any involvement, and,
Yes, yeah.
you know, because I think that's an important,
Is that us or is that the state?
well, it's the state in terms of permitting, but I think that the town's gonna wanna have, not, just input, I mean, they're not gonna have to.
Who is that? The selectmen, or is that us? Who the operator is? I guess, vetting what type of operation is there, it is in there, and vetting who the operator is, that's probably not our call.
No,
probably
that's the developer, that would be Bolton Office Park, I would assume.
Sure, but, I mean, is that something that gets vetted by us during a special permit process, or no?
I think they just need approval from the state
Okay,
to be an operator at
All
that
right.
site.
okay.
What would the things, you know, long-term that we want to keep an eye on?
I think Pat Benson had sent an email or a letter about, you know, what she sort of was requesting. I just have to find it.
Traditional, contemporary.
Contemporary colonial,
That's where your house is?
that's what I'm looking at.
Oh. That's a contemporary colonial.
That's like with the big
Which is
arch
not really
glass
style.
over the doorway there. Yeah. So it's 1980s, late 80s.
2000.
Oh, okay.
Chuck,
Newer than mine.
Chuck Black. That's a good house.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing specific, it's just, making sure that it's a high-quality facility and,
They're not
one
abusive.
of their, wishes is that they have an adult daycare facility within the
Okay.
Yeah,
building.
in the basement.
I know they're also saying they would like a memory unit, but, that's up to them.
Yeah, that's entirely up to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it would be nice if this was a really nice center and it attracted nice people to town, taking their relatives out to local restaurants and apple orchards and things like going for walks, on the conservation land or the town land.
Given this
So-
location, given this town, I'd be shocked if it's anything less.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a ton of these going up. Most of them that I see going up are getting it done
Yeah.
well. But a town like this, or Wellesley, or Sudbury,
Well,
they're high end.
Just like we were saying before, people don't want to leave Bolton
Mhm.
to the end, so.
No, it's true, it's true.
Yeah.
So should this be a comment or no, or? It's up to you guys.
I don't know what
It's
we're
just,
talking about.
it's,
I really think we have any impervious.
it's just so.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
We don't, it's just so nebulous who the operator is.
I think there's something.
But we wanna, I mean, we could say, I think we could get something from the Council on Aging. We're looking for a progressive or enlightened, that really understands memory care or those things. I mean, it would be something from the Council on Aging.
Maybe what I can do is I'll just make a comment that I've attached some of the comments that we've received, so I can attach the letter from Council on Aging and
That's a
attach
good
the
idea.
letter
Yeah.
from Friends of Bolton Seniors.
I mean, yeah, it's things we don't understand that they do about, they understand how, how important different types of treatment are. Memory care versus, I don't know what the other would be.
I don't know how much I agree with that statement. I mean, there are all different types of these facilities, and they all serve a different need. It's about what population they want to attract. But to say an assisted living that has a memory unit is preferred over just an assisted living, it depends on
Well,
what
just,
they're trying.
well, it's just for the progression of life, like,
Like a CCRT, you've got everything. You've got
Yeah.
independent,
Right.
and then an assisted, and then a skilled nursing facility.
Right.
There's value to that, but
Yeah.
you don't need that to have a successful.
No,
healthcare.
you don't need it, but people just saying,
I think they're saying that's the cutting edge.
you want
It is, it is.
I don't know anything about it, but the
They
people.
know enough to be dangerous.
you were born in Bolton, and if you want to die in Bolton, you need a memory unit, because that's where you're gonna
You
end
need
up.
no, I get that. You need the progression. 55 plus, right?
Yeah.
It's independent living.
Yeah, the
assisted living.
Regency.
Yes, so you got what?
There's
So you got 20 years in this new house, and then you go into the Regency.
Let's just knock it all out for you.
Yeah, let's write it out. Give me a timeline.
And maybe by the time you end up in Bolton Manor, there'll be a sidewalk.
Yeah.
So
One can only hope.
Yeah.
All right, we got
Ready?
That's great.
But by then they'll have like hover cars, so you don't even need a
No,
sidewalk.
I was promised
Hover
hovercrafts.
skateboard.
Hover
Yeah,
skateboard.
and I'm kind of pissed.
Yeah, I mean, Back to the Future was 2015, they had
the hovercrafts, but the flying cars. But my problem with those is you don't fold up into a suitcase you can carry.
On payroll.
That's the
I
key.
think this meeting's over.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.